Welcome to Module 11 of the NHS Insights programme, which will provide an introduction to collaborating with partners. This webinar is one of a series of training modules in the NHS Insights programme. The aims of these different modules are to develop a culture of innovation, improve basic innovation-related knowledge, and empower all staff to be innovation aware and ready. The NHS Insights programme has clear aims, which are to support the evaluation of innovations in real-world settings, to strengthen organisational innovation capacity and infrastructure, to build an innovation culture and talent pool, and also to pinpoint what works to lead to national practice. In this Module 11, we will cover why collaboration is critical for innovation, who to collaborate with, and also the power of networking. We'll also give an overview of the NHS innovation ecosystem and the support that is available, and finish up with some real-world case studies of successful collaborations. So why is collaboration important? It's important to remember that innovation development doesn't happen in isolation, and collaboration is really the catalyst that can help turn ideas into patient-benefiting products and impact. So why is it important? Well, if we think about what it takes to bring a new healthcare solution or product to market, you're going to need a whole range of different expertise, including clinical expertise, regulatory knowledge, perhaps software engineering, manufacturing capability, funding, and also IP protection. And fundamentally, no one person has all of that, or even no single organisation has all of that. So collaboration really is important as it helps to combine diverse expertise. Secondly, through collaboration, you can also gain access to resources and technology that perhaps you wouldn't have ordinarily. So that could be, for example, laboratory facilities, clinical simulation centres, manufacturing capability, data, for example. And collaboration really also helps to accelerate development by essentially building a team of people with a wide range of different expertise to help bring a new product to market. It can also help improve patient-centred or user-led design by involving patients and users right from the start. You're essentially designing a product for the real world and not in isolation. Collaboration can also help reduce risk and cost by essentially enabling the sharing of resources and reducing duplication. And collaboration can also enhance access to infrastructure and data. The NHS obviously has a huge amount of infrastructure and data, universities and research facilities, for example. So collaboration really enables the sharing of these resources and accessing infrastructure to really help accelerate the development of new healthcare innovations. And finally, collaboration can also help support with scaling and adoption by providing access to real-world settings for pilots and trials, and also enabling the sharing of knowledge and supporting wider rollout of new healthcare innovations. Effective collaboration can be demonstrated by this framework, which is called the Triple Helix model. And the model really illustrates how innovation thrives when these three critical sectors work together, those being academia, industry, and also the NHS and government. And each of these different sectors brings something essential. Academia brings specialist expertise, analytical and research capability, research infrastructure like labs and equipment, and also clinical simulation centres. Industry brings sector-specific expertise, product development expertise, manufacturing capability, and commercialization knowledge. Industry really knows how to take an idea and turn it into a product at scale. And the NHS and government provide a testbed for pilot studies and evaluations, for example, access to funding, clinical expertise and infrastructure for clinical trials, and also government agencies such as the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency for regulatory approvals. So when these three different sectors work together, that's when there's really genuine collaboration. And it's really where breakthrough innovations can really emerge and how the most successful innovations have come to market. So practically speaking, in each of these different sectors, who should you essentially collaborate with? Well, we've talked about the three different areas. So for academia, you're really looking for, specialist expertise. For example, access to research infrastructure. It could be a clinical simulation center, for example, where you can test your particular device or approach. And universities can also provide statistical analysis, clinical trial coordination, and research credibility. If you're collaborating and engaging with industry, you're really wanting partners who can bring sector-specific expertise. That could be, for example, medical device development and manufacturing, software development, regulatory knowledge, or commercialization expertise, for example. And if you're partnering with the NHS or governments, you're really gaining access to a testbed for real-world evaluations, clinical expertise, access to patients, clinical trial infrastructure, regulatory guidance, for example, and also intellectual property support. And the key insight really is that you work with different partners depending on the different stage of development that you're at. So different stage will require different collaborators. So if you're at an early stage, you might need academic partners, for example, for research and validation. Mid-stage, you may be looking at some industry partners that can help with prototype and product development and manufacturing. And at the later stage, you may be looking then for NHS partners for real-world evaluations, for example, and also regulatory bodies for approval. So as I mentioned before, innovation development doesn't happen in isolation. It fundamentally is not a solo mission. It does really require strong teamwork and is a collaborative effort. You need to network and build a team of specialists who can provide support across multiple different domains. And this could include, for example, IP attorneys who understand patent strategy and patent protection, regulatory advisors who can help navigate compliance requirements, whether that's the MHRA, NICE, or other bodies, health economic experts who can really help build the case for your innovation to demonstrate the cost benefits of your innovation, funding and investment advisors who can help you access the right sources of funding, commercial advisors and marketing experts who can really help position an innovation in the market, mentors and business advisors who've fundamentally been through this before, product development specialists who understand product development and prototype development, and lawyers as well for contracts and corporate structure, for example. There's so many different specialisms that you may wish to tap into. And there's others, of course. There's patients, there's quality specialists, project managers, and fundamentally no one person is an expert in all of this. You really do need to build a network. And the innovators that succeed are really the ones that fundamentally do understand these limitations and can help build teams around them. So how do you actually go about building this network? Well, I've listed here on the slide some practical strategies that one might want to employ. You might want to think about going to conferences and seminars, for example. These really are gold mines. You meet peers, you meet new collaborators, you stay in touch with current trends. So you could think about, for example, doing a speaker slot, for example, which gives you visibility and also credibility. Webinars and online events are particularly valuable, of course. You can build relationships, not just locally, but across geographies as well. Networking events, both formal and informal, or formal industry events, healthcare conferences, local innovation meetups, for example. They can offer some of the most valuable partnerships, and is often where partnerships can often begin. With a conversation at a networking event. An online presence, of course, is particularly important now, and particularly on LinkedIn. Many partnerships can start via a LinkedIn conversation. You could think about targeting specific introductions via existing contacts, and this is a really effective strategy. If you know someone who knows someone, you can ask for an introduction, and warm introductions are often more effective than cold outreach. You could think about joining accelerators and incubators, for example. These really do create a structure for collaboration and access to mentors and networks. You could think about getting involved in professional associations and membership groups in your field, and also, importantly, engaging with the NHS innovation teams and initiatives. And this is obviously very important if you're targeting the NHS as your customer. So really, the common message here is networks are absolutely invaluable. And one needs to really be intentional about it and treat it ultimately like it's part of your job, because fundamentally it is if you're looking to develop an innovation. Within the NHS, there is a really rich ecosystem of support that's available from different organisations and different programmes that one might want to look at when developing an innovation. I've listed some of these on the slide here. So at the national level, there is the NHS Innovation Service, which is a really helpful hub for connecting innovators to NHS support organisations and also routes for adoption. There is also the Accelerated Access Collaborative, which really brings together industry, government, regulators, patients, and the NHS to accelerate the adoption of proven innovations. And the NHS Clinical Entrepreneur Programme. So this is a free entrepreneurial workforce development initiative aimed at NHS staff and also AHPs who are developing their own innovations and to perhaps set up their own business. There is also the National Innovation Accelerator. So this is a flagship initiative by NHS England to support exceptional individuals to scale proven innovations across the NHS. At the regional level, there is also more support available. There are the health innovation networks. There are 15 of these networks across England. They were established back in 2013 to spread innovation at pace and scale. There is also ourselves, HealthTech Enterprise, and also Medipex, who are IP and commercialization experts who partner with health technology innovators to transform innovative ideas into products that ultimately benefit patients. At the regional level, there are also the academic health science centres. So these are partnerships between universities and NHS trusts that help facilitate research, translation and innovation testing. And also there are the NIHR biomedical research centres and clinical research networks. The biomedical research centres often have specific research themes and opportunities to collaborate. access to industry partners and PPIE support, training and development, and also through the clinical research networks that can help with connecting innovators with clinical trial infrastructure. And then at the local level, there is, of course, more support available. Some NHS trusts have their own internal innovation teams to support individual staff members looking to develop their innovations. And also the integrated care systems, of which there are 42 in England, which are local partnerships that bring health and care organisations together to develop shared plans and joined up services. Wider innovation support is, of course, also available through the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, who can provide advice on regulatory support, and also the National Institute for Health and Care Research, who conduct technology appraisals and highly specialised technology guidance, which is really important if you're looking to get adoption into the NHS. And of course, there is also the National Institute for Healthcare Research, which is one of the largest funders of health and social care research in the UK. So it can really help provide the funding to support to develop innovations further. As you can see from the last few slides, there's a huge amount going on in the NHS innovation ecosystem. If you're developing an innovation, you don't need to navigate this alone. There are organisations, programmes, and people whose job it is to support innovation. So it's important to identify which parts of the ecosystem align with your innovation and your particular stage of development, and look to engage with them. So on the last few slides now, I wanted to show some real-world case studies of effective collaboration. The first case study is a paediatric drug delivery device, which us here at HealthTech Enterprise have been supporting North West Anglia NHS Foundation Trust with. So this is essentially a novel device for administration of medication in a medical emergency, and has been developed by a doctor working in anaesthetics and also intensive care from North West Anglia NHS Foundation Trust. A huge amount has been going on with this project. In terms of development work to date, the team secured funding from the Knowledge Asset Grant Fund a few years ago to support some initial prototyping work, some medical emergency simulation testing, and also a patent application filing to protect the device design. About a year ago, the team then secured funding from the NHR I4I PDA scheme of around £1.2 million. And this was to support further device design work, simulation testing, health economics analysis, regulatory technical file compilation for the device, also some money to support IP protection and also commercialization support. So there's been a huge amount going on, and some of the key collaborators that have been involved to date include design engineers, an IP attorney, regulatory consultants, university, both in, for simulation testing and also statistical analysis, patients and public. There is a PPIE group also involved in this project, importantly, clinical supports, IP management, commercialization support, for example, and health economics analysis. There is also support, of course, from the trust themselves and their R&D team, also from a project manager and also funding expertise as well. So there's been a huge amount of collaborators from different domain expertise to help get the project where it is currently at the moment. So this device now is essentially at design freeze and is going through some clinical simulation testing. And we are also looking to file a patent application on the new and improved design. The next real-world case study is in the field of genomics, which is really revolutionising the way we predict, diagnose, and also treat diseases. So this collaboration is EMSCAPE, a metagenomic surveillance collaboration and analysis programme. It was first launched back in January 2025 and essentially is a pilot surveillance network trialling the use of metagenomic data for public health surveillance and pathogen analysis. And metagenomic sequencing is important because it enables pathogen agnostic or untargeted sequencing of the genomes of all organisms that are present in a clinical sample simultaneously. So rather than just testing for a specific pathogen that is hypothesized to be present, metagenomic sequencing can really quickly detect suspected as well as unexpected pathogens, including pathogens that perhaps not usually found in people, and also emerging pathogens that have never been seen before, which is really crucial for enabling a fast response to pathogens of pandemic potential. So this collaboration is really a world first combination of clinical service with a national biosurveillance programme. The key collaborators that are involved in this project include Oxford Nanopore, the provision of their metagenomic sequencing technology, the UK Health Security Agency for the provision of data to inform national public health surveillance, and also a consortium of NHS trusts and universities for the provision of clinical samples and data analysis, for example, and also the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology, which have actually provided £34.8 million of funding for this programme, which is currently launching at 10 NHS sites and will be expanding to 30. So this, again, is a really good example of the triple helix in action, with those three different sectors coming together to create this collaboration and make a real difference to national biosurveillance. The final real-world case study is that from Apos Health. So they've developed a foot-worn medical device that helps people with knee, hip and lower back pain relating to osteoarthritis. It's a non-invasive medical device that is personalised to treat the cause of pain by retraining a person's gait to help them move better and live better. And so essentially the team at Apos Health have collaborated with numerous different organisations and partners across the NHS ecosystem in order to bring this device to market. So they collaborated with the NHS Innovation Service, who provided some pathway support. The Health Innovation Network as well have helped with defining the value proposition for this innovation with a NICE submission support and also spread of the innovation across the NHS in England. This device has received a NICE recommendation. It is available on NHS supply chain and is also part of the MedTech funding mandates for national adoption as well. So as I said, it's a really good example of this team really drawing on the support that's available within the NHS ecosystem in order to bring this innovation to market and also to patients. So that brings me to the end of this session. Thank you for watching this webinar. If you would like to get involved or find out more about the NHS Insights programme, please visit the website as shown here. And also you can contact your local innovation team or leads in your own organisation or ICB where appropriate. Thank you again for listening.